Today, we'll be learning about shadow spiders, one of the creepiest SCPs ever created.
An SCP Foundation
Here we go.
wearing a hazmat suit is escorted by 2 guards through the secure facility. They stop in front of a large, sealed door, and one of the guards scans his security card. There's an audible hiss as the door slides open. The doctor nervously looks to the guard, who motions him inside. They certainly won't be joining him. The doctor steps into the small airlock, and the door snaps shut. A complicated locking mechanism seals the door behind him. He's truly locked in. The reverse process then begins on the locked door in front of him. It finishes, and the door opens, revealing a room with bright lights that briefly blind the doctor. As his eyes adjust, he can see that the entire room is white and bathed in an intense light. He steps out of the airlock and towards the center of the room, where his task awaits.
Guys, I see a shadow.
One slow step at a time, pausing for a moment after each before taking the next. The doctor wants to get this over with as quickly as possible, but he has to abide by the protocols, and this is how they dictate that one must walk in this containment chamber.
Weird.
As the doctor gets closer to the center, and his eyes further adjust to the bright light, he can finally see what this room contains. In the very middle of the room, directly under the lights, is a man. He's lying on a table. And
guys, I don't know if you see it right now, but look at the shadows on the wall. There are spiders.
Isn't moving at all, except for his slow, rhythmic breathing, which is assisted by the ventilator he's connected to. A feeding tube has been placed inside his nose, and numerous machines next to the man hum and beep as they measure his vital signs. The doctor continues to take one slow step after another, and eventually, after what feels like an eternity,
what is on that screen? What is? Are those his lungs? Yeah, they're lungs.
He reaches the middle of the room. The lights above the man are angled to create large, dark shadows coming off of him. And now the doctor is finally close enough to make out what he was warned about in his briefings. Even though the man is completely still, the shadows are moving. Scurrying on the edges of the man's shadow are what look to be spiders.
Oh, guys.
Roughly 3 inches across.
Okay.
You can't see any actual spiders on the man. Only the shadows of these massive arachnids are visible as they move back and forth along the man's shadow.
I'm getting the EBGBs. Oh, I accidentally pulled out my headphones.
He can feel the sweat dripping down the inside of his hazmat suit, though he tries to tell himself it's just a result of the bright lights beating down on him. The doctor reaches the machines measuring the man's vital signs and jots down their readings, marking down that the man's medically induced coma appears stable. He's continually distracted from his work, though, by the movement of the spiders.
So guys, usually in these SCP reaction videos, I like to put out some sort of ideas of what I think might be going on here, and this is one of them where I genuinely am not sure. Like, it seems like the guy in there has obviously something to do with the shadow spiders. The shadow spiders are connected to this man. I don't know if like he was some sort of like spider handler in the past or what his deal is, but yeah, the spiders seem to like this guy, and it seems like this doctor can only do like certain things. Like he has to walk a certain way. It looks like he's not getting too close to this guy. So I guess this is like a highly spreadable SCP that if he maybe touches this dude and like the spiders can jump onto his shadow and then he could take it out into the world, and these spiders have to be super deadly. Like there's no reason why the SCP Foundation would have this many precautions if this wasn't like a high level, like a class 3, 4, or 5 Keter SCP that's probably going to end the world if it gets out. But I'm curious to see what it is, and comment down below what you guys think this SCP can actually do.
And jots down their readings, marking down that the man's medically induced coma appears stable. He's continually distracted from his work, though, by the movement of the spiders.
Well, yeah.
One suddenly jumps from one part of the man's shadow to another, startling the doctor and causing him to jump back.
Spider!
Abruptly stop moving, and even though he can't see their eyes, he has the feeling that they are looking right at him.
Yes, dude, they can see him.
With fear, staring right back at the spiders. But after a moment, they go back to their previous behavior and start crawling along the edge of the comatose man's shadows once more. The doctor continues to go down his checklist and audibly gulps. He's reached the final item, the one labeled physical exam. Nervous sweat runs down his face into his eyes, and he wishes he wasn't wearing this hazmat suit so he could wipe it off. He knows he must get much closer to the man, and more importantly, his shadow, than he feels comfortable with. He has to physically take the man's pulse, though. They won't let him out of this room if he doesn't. He reaches out towards the man's hand, slowly and carefully. He can see the shadow of his hand getting dangerously close to the man's shadow.
Okay, guys, I don't think I would do this. You could pay me $10 million, and I don't think I would ever get close to this guy that has shadow spiders on him that I can't actually see in the real world. There's just too many things that could go wrong. Like, if the spiders get on you, they could, in theory, start, like, biting you, or you know, they could do even worse things, like go inside of your ears, and I don't even want to talk about it because I'm getting creeped out even thinking about it.
And the spiders. One of the spiders stops moving, as if it is watching and waiting for the doctor's shadow to get closer.
Big spider, by the way.
On its hind legs, looking like it is ready to
Oh, it's
pounce.
gonna jump. It's gonna jump.
The doctor gets closer and
No.
closer.
No. Look at it. Look at it.
Nowhere. The room is rocked by an explosion.
What?
The doctor spins around, and on a monitor next to the airlock door, he can...
Wait, why are they running like that? Dude, they're running like a cartoon character. Dude, what?
See a feet of the hallway outside.
Their legs
the
are so
guards who had escorted him run down the hall as a red emergency light flashes. He turns back to the man on the table.
Did they just abandon him?
For him lowers itself out of its attack mode and goes back to scurrying along the shadow. The room is shaken by an even bigger explosion.
What is it? Is it another SCP?
Power must have gone out from whatever is happening outside. He can hear the sound of muffled gunfire mixed with far-off screams, but both are drowned out by his nervous, heavy breathing inside of the suit.
So whatever happened here, guys, the biggest thing is the lights went out, which means I'm pretty sure that, the entire thing is basically a shadow at that point, right? Maybe, I don't know, maybe the spiders can't travel when it's complete darkness. Maybe they actually do need some sort of light source to make a shadow, but I don't know. I have a weird feeling that since the lights went out, the spiders can pretty much go anywhere. So one of the spiders is going to attach themselves to this doctor, and then he's going to leave and then bring the shadow spiders with him outside of their containment facility, which just sounds kind of spooky.
The doctor drops to the ground and tries to crawl back to the door, but he has no idea.
Why is he
which
crawling?
direction it is. He hits his head hard and hears a crack come down his mask. That must have been the table.
Oh,
the doctor turns
no.
and crawls the other direction, eventually finding the airlock door. He stands up and bangs and pulls on the door, but it won't move. He fumbles with his hazmat suit and finds
why
the
would he
button for
take
his
it off?
emergency light.
Oh, there's a
The chemical
light.
light comes
Oh,
on
there's gonna
inside
be
of his
spiders
suit,
everywhere,
casting his
dude.
face in a sickly yellow light. But the light starts to flicker. Something must
Why?
be malfunctioning. The light on one side of his protective mask goes out, leaving
Oh.
half of his face in darkness. But that's the least of his
Oh,
problems, because all of his
no!
attention is now focused on a shadow moving across his face. It's the shadow of a spider.
No.
His eyes go wide as the spider stops and stands up on its rear legs.
No.
Arachnophobia, the fear of spiders.
Woo!
and
I have that.
the fear of
I have
shadows,
that. Yep,
are
I
some
have
of the
that.
most common phobias.
I have goosebumps everywhere.
Today's SCP file is a terrifying and dangerous combination of both. I'm Dr. Bob, and this is SCP-538.
Hi,
also
Dr.
known
Bob.
as the Shadow Spiders.
Whew.
SCP-538 is what appears to be a kind of living shadow, not dissimilar to SCP-017. though
Okay.
These shadows always take the form of an unknown species of spider. These anomalous arachnids seek out the shadows cast by other living objects, attaching themselves to the edge of the living creature's shadow in such a way that their own shadows aren't obscured.
Guys, this is so creepy. It combines two of my worst nightmares. The dark, shadows and it being nighttime, and spiders. Spiders are so creepy. I mean, I get that some spiders are good, but like, dude, the fact that it has 8 legs and some of them are hairy and they can like bite you and some of them are super poisonous. I don't know. I definitely have arachnophobia, and this is literally just like watching this video thinking that obviously it's not real. Right? It's not real, but still, the fact that, I don't know, like that it could be real is very scary.
Once attached to a shadow, the spiders will appear to feed off of them.
What?
This allows them to rapidly grow in size, with the host measuring a total area of roughly 15 square centimeters.
What?
Once they reach their full size, they will continue to feed, though this will only maintain their size. The feeding process seems to not impact the host in any way, and the spiders can remain on a shadow indefinitely. While the spiders have been observed feeding on the shadows of inanimate objects when no living creatures are available, these don't appear to provide the spiders with whatever nutrients they require, and they will slowly atrophy and decrease in size.
Okay, so they can only eat people,
living organism
or just anything living.
SCP-538 can thrive. SCP-538 are not locked to the shadow they are on, though. The spiders have shown the ability to move across areas to reach a new host.
So I'm guessing, that's such a bad spot to pause, but I'm guessing that the SCP Foundation probably put a D-class personnel in the, the Shadow Spider exhibit to keep them alive because they need some sort of living organism to feed on. So they were probably like keeping this dude alive in like a coma-like state. And the D-class personnel are pretty much like prisoners or people that like nobody really cares about, which is definitely not good, but that's what D-class personnel are. They're test subjects. So they probably put the test subject earlier in this video that we saw in there to keep the shadow spiders alive. That's my new hypothesis.
Though they will decrease in size when not attached to a shadow, losing as much as 2 square centimeters of their size for every second that they aren't on a shadow.
Oh, that's so fast.
Should they be stranded in the open without a shadow to feed on, they will decrease in size until they disappear completely, at which point that individual instance of SCP-538 is considered to be terminated.
Okay, so that's how you get rid of them.
Avoid this fate
that's
thanks
good.
To their extremely fast movement, though. And fully grown instances have been measured moving up to 1 meter per second.
What?
While SCP-538
that is like light
instances
speed.
are usually quite benign, seeming content to simply live on the shadow of their host, they will attack if they are frightened, which is when the real danger presented by these anomalous arachnids comes to light.
But what do they do?
If the spiders are agitated, usually from the result of a rapid movement by its host.
Okay.
The spider will bite the organism's shadow before attempting to flee.
Oh, wow.
Once bitten,
okay.
The unlucky individual will progress through 5 distinct stages, all of which take place over the course of roughly 1 hour. During the first, the subject will report pain in the area of their body that
makes
corresponds
sense.
to the part of their shadow that was bitten, but no puncture wounds or other marks will be
Really?
visible in this location. Minor psychological effects have been reported in this stage, mostly consisting of an increase in irritability and the tendency for the bitten subject to lash out at those around them.
I mean, yeah, that kind of makes sense considering they just got bit by something, but like when you look at it, like let's say you felt like a pinch on your arm, but you look at it and then there's nothing there. That would be really, really, I don't know, kind of crazy to think about, and you would probably think that you're going insane.
The second stage occurs 10 to 15 minutes after being bitten. The subject will begin sweating, despite reporting that they feel cold, while their skin will become red and warm to the touch.
Oh my gosh.
25 to 30 minutes after the bite, the third stage will begin. At this point, the psychological effects become very noticeable, with the subject becoming violent and attempting to attack any person nearby.
So it's like
Their speech
rabies.
will be slurred, and they may show signs of impairment to their motor skills. The fourth stage begins at the 40 to 45 minute mark, and at this point, the subject's skin color will go from being red to a pale white as their core temperature drops 5 to 8 degrees Celsius.
Yep, they're basically dying.
Their psychological state will alter once again, and they will go from being extremely aggressive to overly apologetic, blaming their previous behavior on the fact that they weren't feeling well.
That's so weird.
After offering their apologies, they will then request their leave from the area and attempt to retreat to a darkened area.
Oh, okay.
The fifth and final stage happens 55 to 60 minutes after the bite.
They don't turn into a spider, do they?
The subject faces a grisly end to the entire ordeal. Their entire body will rapidly dissolve into a translucent liquid, while at the exact same time, their shadow will disintegrate into numerous smaller instances of SCP-538.
So they don't just turn into one spider, like I kind of joked about. They turn into an entire generation of spiders. That was at least like 65 spiders that just came out.
The spider offspring measure just 4 centimeters across, and the new instances will immediately begin seeking out shadows of their own that they can attach to and feed off of. There is currently no known cure for being bitten by an SCP-538 instance.
Got it. So the cure is don't get bit.
And death will not halt the process. Instead, should the subject expire while in the earlier stages of the condition, death will cause the final step to occur immediately. In a bit of good news, only bites to the area of an individual's shadow that correspond to a spot of bare skin seem to cause these effects. Even thin materials like cotton clothing appear to be enough to prevent the process from starting.
So that's why the guy was wearing a
The
hazmat suit.
Foundation has multiple instances of SCP-538 in containment, and they are kept in a white 15 by 15 by 3 meter room that is accessible only via an airlock. 4 200-watt lights are focused on a table in the center of the room, where D-Class personnel in a medically induced coma is kept in a stable state, in order to serve as a feeding source for the SCP-538.
Okay, so I was right about that. It is a D-Class personnel person that, like, literally is just there as a giant Capri Sun juice box for these spiders.
Specimens. No other sources of shade are allowed into the room, so that the D-Class serves as the only source of shadows. Any personnel that enter the room, whether to repair a light source or to check on the condition of the D-Class, are to wear sealed hazardous material suits equipped with oxygen tanks, and are advised that they must move slowly and deliberately in order to avoid agitating any instances of SCP-538.
Okay.
Initially, doctors sent to examine the D-Class personnel were allowed to enter the room alone. However, following the events of Incident I-538-1, that protocol has been changed. During the incident, an attack by the Chaos Insurgency caused disruptions to both the main and backup power sources.
So that's what happened at the beginning of this episode. This is the incident where things went completely wrong.
Part of the site where the SCP-538 containment cell is located, just as a Foundation doctor was in the middle of an examination of the comatose D-Class. Power outage led to all lights in the containment cell shutting off, while at the same time sealing the airlock that provides the only means in or out of the room, and trapping the doctor inside. The power was not able to be restored to the containment cell for another 18 hours, at which point the doctor was finally removed from the cell. The doctor sobbed uncontrollably as he kept repeating that he could feel them crawling all over him.
Oh, dude, no.
Attend mandatory psychological therapy for his newly developed arachnophobia, and was later reassigned. Following this incident, the examination protocol was updated, and health checkups of the D-Class personnel are now performed by a doctor who is accompanied in the cell by 2 security personnel, each of whom are equipped with 2 250-watt flashlights.
So the flashlights, I'm guessing if you shine them at the spiders, it like forces them to leave the area, or it might even kill them.
That can be used in the event of another disruption to the lights. If at any time a staff member is bitten by one of the spiders, they are to be immediately placed within SCP-538's containment cell as soon as possible, as the failure to properly contain them could easily lead to a massive containment breach by SCP-538 entities. Bitten individuals will often attempt to hide the fact that they are bitten, so anyone who comes into contact with the shadow spiders must be carefully monitored for signs of any of the symptoms that follow a bite.
He's crossing his fingers. They probably asked him, "Sir, did you get bit?" And he's like, "No, I have not been bit."
The ease with which they could quickly spread and the huge threat they pose to humanity has led to SCP-538 being classified as Euclid. And while the Foundation
that's not that bad.
They have been successfully contained, we all must remain ever vigilant of movement on the edge of shadows. Should you spot something, don't take any chances.
I thought that was a
Your
real
future
spider.
non-liquefied body will thank you for it. Now go and watch another entry from the files of Dr. Bob.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the creepiest SCP I think I've ever learned about. If you guys think of any others that are even creepier than this, leave a comment down below. And while you're at it, click right here to learn more about SCPs.